What is up, everyone? What's up? The music was a little loud. What's happening? Welcome to the Restoration Rundown Podcast, the podcast that's dedicated to you, the restoration business owner. My name is Ben. I'm your host, and I'm also the CEO of Ironclad Restoration Marketing, where I help restoration and cleaning business owners just get more sales and leads from the internet just by getting their internet marketing right. Today's episode is going to be awesome. He's a guest that we've had on a couple times. He's a titan in the industry. He's a podcaster. He's an educator. He's an esteemed author with a best-selling book on Amazon. He's my friend. He's your friend. You may have heard of him, Mr. Jon Isaacson from the Dyojo podcast and Socktember, if you haven't heard about it, and all 5 of his books, the Be Intentional series, and a new one we're going to talk about today. Darth, when is Jon going to join the podcast?
Sorry, you said Socktember's at the end, so
that's okay. We'll recoup it. You got the music there. If you're not watching this on YouTube, I implore you to at least watch the beginning. Darth Vader just made an appearance with some, maybe used socks. I think he might have put up in front of the camera. I don't know.
I think both of those are used.
The smell's not translating across the stream that we have going on. I know you're in the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're experiencing record heat. Not record heat, actually. Sorry, not record heat. This is our hottest week of the year yet.
Wow. Yeah. So no snow. So Jon, I know a lot of people know you. A lot of people have talked to you. You're everywhere. You're at every industry association event and stuff like that. But for those who don't, would you give me a little bit of a background of who you are, what you do, and what you got going on?
I'm a contractor. So we have a small restoration company in Puyallup, Washington. For those that are not familiar with the great state of Washington, there's Seattle. Everybody thinks is the center up in the northwest corner. If you travel down the I-5 corridor, which would take you all the way into California, you'll hit Tacoma, and then you take a left to go east, and you'll hit Puyallup, a small town. Let's say the suburbs of Tacoma. So
okay.
And and like you mentioned, we have a mediocre podcast, nowhere near the production quality of the Restoration Rundown.
I don't know. I
also have a few moderately selling books. Again, nothing to the, where did I put it? To the nothing. I think this is version 2.0 of the No BS Guide to Internet Marketing for Restoration Contractors by the one and only Benjamin Riccardi.
I've got to get you the new version of that. I mean, unfortunately, it seems like every time I publish one, I have to publish another one in the same vein. So I don't get to do like you do and write a bunch of different books. I have to write the same stuff over and over again, just change it a little bit because of our friend Google. But you know, at the end of the day, it's why we do what we do to help people out. So I appreciate it. But your modesty is obviously unwarranted. You have written, now you're on your 5th book in the restoration space.
Yeah. Yep. The 5th one is called Challenge Accepted. It's a broader. Initially, I think you reviewed part of it. It was an open letter to young people entering the workforce, and I've switched it to mindset and habits for thriving in the workplace. Broadened it a little bit because some of the feedback was this isn't just good for like high schoolers getting into work, but young people that are trying to develop their careers, and I guess that's more the target. I swear I was, this close to, self-publishing it and got some good feedback. And a lot of it was just like, when you're writing is a whole different medium than even talking to other people. That's a whole nother skill. There are 2 different skill sets, but trying to communicate effectively a coherent thought and that chapters tie into each other. Yours is a lot more technical, which is, it's not easier or harder. It's just different, right? You're trying to make really, really dry material somehow somewhat interesting.
Right. And at least there's a start and a finish. You can't talk with your hands when you're writing from the heart, I guess. Even if...
Yep. Yeah. Or it's like, when you have to explain a joke that it's not landing, or, like in video medium, you can throw in funny clips or memes.
And in my life,
you don't get to do that in a book. So
Yeah. I can relate with the jokes not landing. It happens quite
Speaking
often.
of memes, I laughed out loud. Your one a few days ago, the best place to hide a body is on page 2 of Google. That gave me a good chuckle.
How true is that? And even more so on the map section, if you can drop down below the 3, it's like, yeah, you can hide it.
Non-existent.
It's a healthy digital alternative to a swamp or an alligator like we have here in Florida. So you're let's go back into your books. The last time I had you on, I believe it's probably been a really long time. It just seems like it was really not that long ago, because I mean, like I tell people, this year has been the longest 2 months of my life. So you talked about your book number 4, the How to Suck Less at Estimating. It was really awesome. If you guys haven't heard that episode or checked out his books, I implore you to do both. The book's probably better than listening to us drone on about it, but we do have some content about that. And then, sometime shortly after that, you had asked me for a little bit of a review of the snippet of your new book, and I really was into it. I think that some of the stuff, and I'm going to let you, talk about the inspiration behind it and what the theme is, but I think that overall, what you mentioned before about self-publishing versus publishing, and this book resonates with anybody. I think that's true. I mean, we're all trying to figure out what we want to be when we grow up, until we realize one day when we're 80 or 90, if we're blessed, we look back and say, you know what, I was doing all right. So I think the mindset part of this is great. But I want you to speak a little bit about the book, where you came up with the idea, why you brought it out. And again, I preface this by saying it's a very important topic to have for any kind of business owner, I think, to have these internal discussions and or if you're out there looking for something to do, to have this mindset to push yourself further along in your career, whatever that may be.
Yeah. Well, we have this habit as business owners, managers, of expecting everyone to do things the way that we did it, right? And expecting that, hey, this is the way I come up through the skilled trades, so that's the way everyone's coming up through the skilled trades. And if you can't hack it, then get out, and but not recognizing that the way we did it is different than the generations prior to us and those kinds of things. So we like to complain and commiserate about the new generations, the millennials. You got Gen Z, Gen Alpha here shortly, and so I'm not sure.
My favorite's Jen Aniston.
Hey.
Jen Lopez. Those are my.
We were looking at a cruise, and there's a cruise that has a Jennifer Lopez AI as part of the entertainment.
It's like a hologram Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, instead of the kind of campy presentation, it's a hologram. So I don't know if that's an upgrade or not. But anyways, the not just commiserating about the problem. So started thinking, like, it's crazy. I think I told you this. Right next to our office, there's a skills center for our county, and I cannot get anyone there to return my call to just say, hey, can we come help? Can we present? I used to do that a lot in Oregon, where we just go speak to groups of high schoolers about this is what it looks like to enter the workforce.
Sure.
When we interview people, these are some things we look for. Don't do this, do that. Don't chew gum, wear a friggin' polo, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And we actually hired somebody that came back after one of those events. So I always believe that's a great way to be in the community, just give back. And then also it's potentially a way to recruit some people in the future. You never know. So the skill center right by us wasn't responding. So about an hour and a half away in Tumwater, there's one, and they responded. So myself and Joyce, another local contractor, we went down there, and she kind of presents. We just hit it she's mitigation, we're repairs. So we talk about our industry, what that looks like, some of the things, again, that we look for when we're interviewing. And that's been a lot of fun. It's been a challenge. It's a challenge to hold the attention of 40 high schoolers, for I think it's like 2.5-hour sessions or something like that. So I've always thought, man, I'd love to I bring books, and I'm like, does anybody want this? And they're always like, yeah. And I'm like, I don't know if that's totally going to resonate or not. So I wanted like just a nice thin book that I could hand out. And so I knew, because that's part of the presentation I give is challenge. What is the universal challenge of an employer, and approaching it, because a lot of them, it's crazy. What is it? you have no experience, you're going into entry-level job and they want you to have 10 years of experience or you don't get
Yeah,
hired,
yeah.
And that's honestly the feedback from these kids is like, where are the entry-level jobs? Because everybody's like, they won't give us a job if we don't have experience. And at the same time, you go out into their warehouse and they're framing like roofing pitches, complex roofing pitches and all these
Right.
kinds of things. And their nailing patterns and their cuts are like cleaner. Like some of your cuts are cleaner than houses we go to restore. This is nuts. And then people saying that, we wouldn't hire you. So anyway, so that long story short, that was birth. We're in that class. I'd like to have something to just hand out. So that is part of the idea is maybe get a few people to support that to where we can hand those out. And, they're not necessarily going to be affordable because I'm going to do them full color. So they're a little more expensive to print, but I think you kind of got to do that to kind of grab people's attention, hopefully.
Well, if they're serious about, figuring out what they're going to do, or if there's somebody like, you mentioned on the landing page, which I actually put down, if you're watching this on YouTube, check it out, Restoration Rundown YouTube. You can see the link to it, the dyojo.com/book5.html. You probably don't need the .html, but that's what I copy pasted. And
it's essential. You have to put https://www.
Yes. God. Yeah. Copy paste this or Google search it. Again,
you're a friggin' internet guy and you don't know that you have to type that in. This guy.
I don't know what HTTPS stands for.
Your book is the No BS guide. This podcast is just BS. This
is called the All BS podcast guide to do what we say, do what we do. But to reiterate back what you were saying, you're going into these skill centers, you're trying to educate these new generations on what it is you do. The skilled trades, I think, overall, because I have a construction company, we have skilled tradesmen. It's completely different. We're in the site development and utilities, but we're noticing the same thing on our side is that who's next? Yeah. Who's ready to take this over? What's the mentality they need to take? Where I came up, I was boots on the ground. I worked my butt off out in the sun. I learned. I wanted to make more money. I wanted to advance myself in a career, or at least get out from being a laborer and be a supervisor that got to sit in the AC. If that was the motivation. So I think your book is important because I think it does. I know one of the things you say all the time is shorten your dang learning curve, but the book, just from the small bit I wrote, is, hey, if you're a parent, a business owner, or you're a kid, when you're 18 and they say, all right, well, pick what you want to do for the rest of your life. And by the way, you got to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn how to do it. The skilled trades are out there. And I think that we need to find that next generation. So I think your book addresses that very, very well. It puts things into perspective of the mindset, right? And I think that's like the common theme is your 3 B's. Is that, you didn't edit that out, did you? I thought that was gold.
Yep.
It's gold, Jerry.
I'm pretty sure I've brought that up in the other books, is what we always look at as employers, because you're not going to find people with always with direct experience. And I would say this, Ben, I'm going to say it again. We are pretty darn incestuous in the restoration space, where the idea is, oh, this guy worked at this place, so I won't have to train them, plug and play. Shocking, 3 months later, we're having the same issues the last employer had with them. That's from a very pessimistic standpoint. But the other is, like, if you're just grabbing, say all this, what is I saw there was a questionnaire in one of the contractors' pages, like, what makes your business different? And they say, everybody's our culture. I'm going to call BS for the most part. Because if your culture is hire somebody else, bring them into your space, and you truly have a unique way, that means you're retraining, right? Rather than starting with a blank slate and training them in your way, you've got to retrain. I don't care how you did it at X company. This is how we do it here. And this is why, and understanding that communication standpoint. But so if you want to attract, new people, you have to change the way you think. And I think it's really simple. Primarily, if you are honest, hardworking, and willing to learn, that's the 3 B's, then we can teach you anything, right? Especially on the mitigation side, we can teach you fairly quickly to be competent if you're willing. On the skilled side, I'm not on the carpentry side, as far as like drywall, framing, those kind of things, takes a little bit longer. But you know, the same applies. You know, just be honest, be hardworking, be willing to learn. We can teach you. So I think we've got to adapt as employers, and then it's on us to understand the workforce coming in, not necessarily them to come and be like, oh, okay, well, I'll just do it the way you did it, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't quite work that way, because, like, you know, it's always so funny. I know you and I have beat this horse, but you know, if your hiring policies, your pay scale, and your structure is the same as it was in the 90s, and you're shocked that you're having trouble hiring and recruiting new people, you know, that's a you problem, not a Gen Z problem.
Yeah, for sure. So you know, so speaking of which, so we've kind of dug up a problem. I don't know if it's a problem, but it is something and it goes within the theme of your book. How do we reach these next generations? Do you think that, I mean, I personally think that books like yours, doing more outreach to some of these skill centers and educating people on what it is that you actually do is going to be a huge help. But do you see any other ways besides that, or this is,
well, it's hard. So it's hard to hire people in our own, you know, similar age brackets. It's hard. So, you know, it's going to be exponentially harder to attract and hire people. But you got to think, like, I think, and that's maybe some of the challenge in writing the book. Like, for us, the driver, I was reading something on, you know, whether you call it economy 4.0 or the social economy. So, like, the boomers, they had a whole lot less options. You go into a warehouse job, all you want to do is provide for your family. So I'm going to stick it out. This is a good place. There's really not that many more options. So I'm just going to work until I die, you know, or retire at this one place. And that's good. That's, you know, just living, like creating a standard of living. So then the generation that followed, they're more quality of life. You know, you see a lot more people like trying to buy boats, buy the nice houses, you know, those kinds of things. But there was more options, especially like as .com came around, you know, people that didn't have traditional skills could find, you know, ways to interact with the economy. So quality of life, or standard of living, is taken care of. So now there's quality of life, and then more our generation, standard of living has been addressed, quality of life's addressed. And so now, you know, people values start to change. You know, companies always want loyalty, and they're not loyal to their employees. They don't take care of them. You know, we're a family here. Sure. Right. So you look at the trades, and it's like, if someone can make $15+ an hour at Starbucks and you're still paying $17 an hour, they're not lazy. You know, they're smarter than you.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
Hey, crawl through this crawl space full of poop.
Yeah.
You know, in this suit that's going to protect you, you know, with these gloves, just duct tape the gloves, you'll be fine. Or serve coffee at Starbucks. That's not laziness. That's intelligence, you know.
Absolutely. So, well, some people pay big money to crawl around and poop, you know.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
But most don't. That's the trick. So your book, you know, the importance of factoring in the mindset is huge. I know you talk a lot about building frameworks for goal setting for whoever it is that's going to end up picking up the book. How important is a book like this for the business owner to get? You know, is there something that's applicable to maybe bridge that gap from the old guard that's saying, no, I'm paying $15 an hour and you're coming in here crawling in the poop, and you know, go to Starbucks if you want and drink that liberal coffee.
Yeah, that leftist coffee. Yeah.
Coffee.
I hope so. I hope for, you know, the young person either entering the workforce or preparing for that. It's staged in currently getting ready, getting started, and getting beyond. So I think someone could read it all the way through, or kind of go back and refer to it when they're facing specific challenges. But I think for parents, educators, business owners, and managers, I mean, literally, I think this book, that was kind of the intent behind. So you want to be a project manager or somebody that's already in your organization and wants to advance. Here's kind of the script of, you know, what that looks like. So this is maybe, I honestly would look at this as every hiring manager, hey, if you want to succeed in our organization, here's a book that's going to, a short, simple book that's going to help you, develop the right mindset and habits for, being of value to us and building your value in the future. And then, there's some real simple principles in there that people could use in training. I know you talk about that and bring people on. Our friends at Blue Collar Nation are really invested in that, as far as, developing those soft skills, because that's where we're pretty good at developing people's like specific technical skills, helping people advance in the workforce and then get into supervisory and those kinds of things. Touch on it briefly in the third stage of this book, but obviously more detailed in the project management book for, that mid-level management. So.
Well, I think that one of the things that you just talked about, again, when we're talking about, I guess my mind went right to this. As soon as I asked the question, when you ask questions, sometimes you kind of like, well, the light bulb comes on. I think the other thing that I think this book is super helpful for is something you talked about before, is the culture in the companies, whatever you culture. If you're trying to establish that culture, if that's the way we think that we're going to reach these next generations of workforce, skilled, unskilled, having something like this to create these goal-setting frameworks should resonate with the company and would probably be a good framework to implement in your company if you are trying to create that culture of expanding your role within the company. Hey, here's a pathway to owning your own restoration company at some point, because some people may want to do that, and or some people just, hey, I just want to get into a manager position, take care of my family, whatever it is. So I think your book would probably help out anybody that has a business, whatever it is, because what I really liked, again, I'm going to go off on another tangent about the 3 Bs, is they're so applicable to everything that we have to do or learn. If you're willing to learn and you're willing to work hard, the 3 Bs are be willing to learn, be willing to work hard, and be honest. I mean, those tenets right there are going to make you successful at whatever you want to do if you're willing to open up to it. So create a culture, bring in the right people. It'll help you identify right people too if you're a hiring manager or something like that as well, because if they don't have those tenets, I mean, that might be step one. At least have this, because if you are, really anybody can learn.
And so that's the getting ready part. I mean, you have to bring those things to the forefront. And we talk about, if you're in high school or in your first job and you don't like it, but you're developing bad habits, they're that much harder to break. So then getting started is then the 3 do's: do it right, do it efficiently, do it excellently. And then so we talk a lot about how to apply those things to getting ready, getting started, being of value to a company. But also I think, like you're saying, to the parent, the manager, the business owner, you could, take that chapter, they're very short chapters, and do a training on that. Say, hey guys, like, this is what it means to be honest. This is what it means to be willing to learn. And this is what it means to try to set yourself up to do things efficiently and do them excellently, So I do. Yeah. I agree with your assessment, Ben. I think it will be helpful. I hope.
We'll see. I just started reading it. I'm not willing to learn though.
Clearly.
So listen, check guys, I implore you, like all of Jon's books. And I think you've been on and talked about, I think, every book so far, maybe. So far, we might have got you around. We met each other around book 3, which you already had a couple out. We talked about all of them. They're invaluable. I've talked to other people at events and stuff that have, know you and have got the books, and just can't say enough about them. If you're active in the Restoration Rebels group on Facebook or Water Damage Restoration Connection, you'll it's hard to miss how many people refer others that are looking for help to your books. I think that's awesome. And which is why I like having you on. I've learned a lot from you. I think you come on with some pretty cool costumes and stuff like that too. So you guys got to check it out on YouTube. So the costume, we want to join the sock side, right? Yeah, go ahead. Let's do this again. All right, everybody, tune into YouTube now at minute. I don't know. Just tune into YouTube now if you're listening to this live. Yes.
There you go. Well, that was perfect.
You joined. That was good. Join the sock side. That's actually good. The second or third time you did it when we came.
Join the sock side. See this? This is a used sock. that's not what we're raising. We're raising new socks. Unfortunately, I don't have any new socks with me right this moment. But yeah, we did the. Can you hear me okay through the mask?
Yeah, I hear you better. No, just kidding.
We a great place to start. There's an article for this. This is actually the 4th annual Socktember charitable sock raising competition. So there's an article in C&R Magazine. We actually joined forces this year with Restoring Kindness in C&R Magazine. So they do Restoring Kindness in May, and then we're planning that'll continue each year. And then in September we do Socktember. So basically the last week of August through the first week of October. The idea, it really did start with a simple idea. You mentioned the Puma socks at Costco. I was at Costco. It was during 2020. Everyone remembers what was going on then. And we were looking for unique ways to try to connect, do some team building, but also do some marketing. And so had this idea. What if when people are at Costco, Walmart, wherever you shop, just grabbed an extra pair of socks, for a month here and there, and then we gathered in teams and see which team can raise the most to then donate to charitable organizations. Each team would pick who they donate to, so the socks stay in the community. And we all thought, man, if collectively, I think we had 4 teams in Washington. If we could raise like over 1,000 socks, wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
And that first year we raised over 5,500. So we're like, oh, dang. So the competition was just part of being fun. I really do want to communicate to anyone starting, like, if you raise 100 pair of socks, if you raise 10 pair of socks, that's 100 pairs that wouldn't be going to whatever organization you support. And so that's amazing. And if it catches fire in your community and you want to compete, last year, not to discourage anybody, On-Side Restoration out of Laval up in Canada, they raised over 11,500 pairs. So the bar is high. And
you kind of broke up a little. I think your mask might be reverbing. What's the name of the restoration company that say that? How many socks did they raise?
So On-Side Restoration out of Laval, which is in Quebec, they raised over 11,500 pairs of socks, new socks.
Wow. And that was last year? Now, wait a minute. Is there an exchange rate with Canadian socks versus U.S. socks? Like, is there like 10 socks to the one sock in U.S.?
It was basically like 500 pairs of socks. Yeah.
Okay. You forgot that's incredible. Wow.
They got creative. They had like a drive-through, obviously their team. And I was part of a podcast with Michelle at C&R, and that's a small office. I think they said they had less than 20 people in that office.
Wow.
Whereas maybe less than 10, whereas there's another office that's much larger, and they raised about half the socks. And that Laval team, I think the year before only raised like 36 pairs. So they went from 36 pairs in 2021 to like taking the trophy home. So there is a big trophy. Judy from Tacoma Trophy created our trophy for the first year. That went 2 years in a row to Reliable Contents here in Seattle.
Okay.
And they were not able to three-peat. They were dethroned by Laval. And then the top 5 teams get a plaque, so you can display it and brag and rub it in the faces of your competitors. All in good, charitable fun. But yeah, just a simple way. I think this is a great team building. On-Side Restoration as a whole out of Canada has, encouraged all of their offices to participate. I think they have like 19 offices. We've had members from various of the larger companies, not yet had another company challenge out there to any of the American companies that want to compete at that level.
Yeah.
But so it's an international event. We calculate state by state. Obviously, Washington's got a head start, and they're kicking everybody's butt at the state level. But it's open at the team level. And thank you, Ben, for having a team. I think you're our first team in South Florida. So we have teams right now represented we would like to get a team in every state. So we got Washington obviously covered, Florida, Michigan, Georgia, Maryland, California, Canada, all across Canada. There's also, let's see, Florida, Colorado. I already said Georgia, Illinois, and Massachusetts as well. So,
wow. Well, that's awesome. I mean,
yeah.
congratulations on that. But like I normally do, I want to tie this in a little bit because we talked again about culture. I'm putting rabbit ears up in a company, and this is a huge way to start creating culture in a company. One thing I harp on all the time. I've done presentations on it. It's in my book, I think, whatever version you may be reading at this time, if you have it, is for lead generation. All right, let's talk money. Let's be selfish for a second.
Yes.
You're a company. I always like companies that have the giver's gain mentality, the farm, you're a farmer, you're in your community. And one of the most important things you can do as a company, as a business owner, is get involved in your community.
Yep.
Whether it's sponsoring a local team, initiating a charitable event like you've got going on, I firmly believe that is just as important for your company brand awareness, for your giving back to the community that you serve, to show them that there's a face behind the company and build trust within your community. And then the icing on the cake is you're doing a really great thing for the community, and you're also creating a culture of giving back within your company. So the honesty, the integrity, you're building that with doing these things. So if you're a business owner right now, and you're not sponsoring your local team, you're not, donating to charity drives all the time and just spending the money, whatever it may be, or joining on if you're in a state that wasn't listed, or you're in a state that is listed, getting involved in something like this isn't an industry event. Restoring Kindness is involved in a C&R. So building that omnipresence, omnichannel approach to marketing your business out there, this is like a fundamental step that I don't think the majority of restoration business owners or business owners in general are even scratching the surface of yet.
Yep. Well, and this is, I mean, it's very social media friendly, posting, hey, we've got for our team, there's a local coffee shop that's going to be a drop site. The Tacoma trophy that supported us from year one is a drop site. One of the local Edward Jones offices, our chamber's been a drop site in the past. So you can get community members involved that way. You got local agents that really support you, property managers, apartment complexes, having a box there. You can put your logo on there. C&R's done a good job of making some posters and whatnot if you're not savvy that way. But it is designed, it is marketing outreach. I know you have on the one side people that are, always posting stuff and, we're better than X because of industry speak. This is a way to present yourself in community. And if you post it, we're all unaware to share it, hashtag Socktember, those kinds of things. So we want you to succeed. We want the event to succeed. But also you talked about earlier, connecting with the younger generation. They want to know. Every study shows the younger the generations are, the more important it is to them that your company is a part of something bigger.
Yes.
So maybe this is a great thing to put one of your younger employees to say, hey, does this resonate with you? Would you be willing to go, if we set aside a couple hours a week for you to go visit, is that something that you would like to be a part of, and have them, you don't understand TikTok, have them make a dang TikTok just for socks, right? It's very social media friendly. You got to get out of your comfort zone. But we're all on alert that if you're posting something about Socktember, we're going to do our best to share it and broadcast that. And C&R, the latest magazine did a great spread on restoring kindness, which is really cool to see the different ways. And both of these, restoring kindness in May, Socktember and September, they are at their core designed to just be real simple. Like, if all you're doing is you and a couple of your friends are getting a couple extra pairs of socks every time you go to the store, that's awesome and amazing. And please don't, just because you didn't raise 11,000 doesn't mean you're not winning.
Anything is helpful, right? And so for anybody that's interested in putting a team together or donating, and let's say like I'm in Florida, we're having a team here. We're going to be putting socks together. We're going to reach out to local churches and organizations and just say, hey, would you guys be willing to accept and become a drop? How do people get in touch to get this going? Do they still have time to
I think
and get going?
it's not a hard stop. You know, we're asking to try to have the teams kind of listed by the 22nd because the competition will start the following Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so, but that doesn't mean you can't jump on. If you're not sure, I want to give a shout out to Lacey here in Graham Auto. Last 2 years, she's been on our team and they've had drop sites at their 2 locations. And this year, she's a part of a networking group for auto marketers, you know, across the nation. She said, hey, would it be all right if we start our own team? And I said, heck yeah, please do. You know, that's the whole idea is, you know, so say someone's in Florida, join Ben's team, learn how it goes. And then he'll hate to lose you as a team member, but next year, if he's got competition in his own state, that's awesome. You know?
Yeah.
So you can, there's the Dyojo.com/Socktember is still a portal, but we are shifting to where Restoring Kindness kind of be the primary. So it's restoringkindnessusa.com/Socktember. The article's there. And you can register your team. It's a great way to stay updated. You can join our mailing list. We'll be sending out updates and reminders, and then you know, just start collecting socks. Please take some photos, some videos, have fun with it. You know, our team's kind of going with the Darth Vader theme, as you noticed. But
I didn't notice. It's hard to say you're always dressed like Darth Vader, so I didn't know that. You had picked that up.
Did you name your team yet, Ben?
Not yet. No, it's on the dot. This week we're naming it. I've got to come up with something.
The crusty socks.
It's probably going to be Puma pants and just Puma socks.
Socks. Yeah.
Pants. No, we're actually working on looking for some venues to be able to get them. My local church does a lot of outreach and everywhere. I mean, they're in Hawaii right now, helping out in Maui. Anytime there's an event like that, so we're waiting to hear back from them to see if they could be our beneficiary. Because I know it's all the thousands of socks I'm going to raise are going to be a little difficult to send out to you in Washington. So. Well, listen, John, I as always, I love having you on. Appreciate your time. I know everybody that listens to this, the 4 of them, my mom and 2 of my brothers, and then 1 person I can't find out where they're from, listens to the podcast. Really like it. Oh, there he is. Okay, there's Darth. You know, and how do people get in touch with you? I know your podcast is awesome. You've got amazing guests on all the time. You've got a wealth of knowledge and resources for restorers out there that are either looking to break into the industry or have been there forever. Outside of your books, your podcast, your resources on your website, they just go to dyojo.com, dyojo.com. And that's the hub.
Don't forget the HTTPS ://www. Yeah.
And slash at the end, .htmlindex.php, WP.
Yep. All of the things. Yep. Our whole goal is we normally drop on Thursdays, you know, helping contractors shorten their dang learning curve. And I love your content, Ben. I think your book is great because if someone wants to do it themselves, the info is there. And if they get through the book and they're like, oh, crud, we should hire somebody, there's a resource.
Yeah, well, we love helping. I'm working on another one. I'm hoping to be able to move away from that technical stuff because it's not my favorite thing to write. Sure. And it changes so frequently that it's impossible to keep up with and publish. And so I've got some stuff in the docket. I enjoy writing. I've been contributing a little bit more to R&R and C&R. Yeah. Some different articles here and there and just trying to help wherever we can. For those of you guys that want to get in touch with John, go to dyojo.com. Don't forget the https://www.dyojo.com. If you're interested in getting involved in Socktember or you want to donate to my team, reach out to me. And join the sock side.
Join the sock side.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you follow John. Give us a follow. Comment on this post. If you're interested in getting in touch, comment on this on YouTube, anywhere you're watching it, or reach out to me directly. Until next time, we'll talk to you then.